What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you all are having a very blessed and wonderful day. Today here we have a guide for the strategist character Cloak Dagger. Now we're going to run through this quick and fast so that y'all can get back to playing or working or doing whatever it was you were doing before you clicked on this video. Also, as of today, I'm currently doing a marathon for Marvel Rivals over on Twitch, so if you want to come play or simply kick it and chill out, please feel free to go ahead and follow me over on Twitch so that you won't miss a thing, and the link to my channel is down in the description below. So because both characters actually do have a separate moveset, I'm going to be explaining two sets of abilities at the same time instead of doing one character and then another character in the back half of the video, because then I would make this a lot longer than it initially needs to be, and I don't want to do that. So moving into what we have listed for the first ability, which is Dagger's left click, and that is called Light Force Dagger. Now Dagger unleashes a bouncing Light Force Dagger to damage enemies and heal nearby allies. It does 15 points of damage per hit, and it heals for 10 points per hit. And the area of effect healing does 18 points per hit as well. So a neat thing about Dagger is that she has kind of a soft auto aim on everybody. It's called an attraction effect. It pulls in the closest target to the crosshair, healing them, and it also creates a field of AoE healing upon impact. And damage wise, it also locks on to the closest target, which means that you don't need to be dead on with your aim, but as long as your cursor is close to the target, you will notice a lock on that will take over for your shots. When you're not soft locked to a target, her daggers will simply bounce off the surfaces and go wherever they end up going. But something else that the game does not tell you is that if you're in a situation where you don't have a direct line of sight to your target, this feature works for both allies and enemies. You can bounce or curve shots off of a surface to hit a target in an area. As you can see here, I'm bouncing shots off of the wall on purpose, but I'm aiming to a surface that I know is close to my target. I have my allies on the left side and I have my enemies on the right side. This is what it looks like whenever you're shooting blind, and when I say blind, I mean without aiming and without a lock on. Now, to show you what this looks like when you can actually see the target, I'm going to put myself in a situation where I can see my target, but there's something in the way that will block my shot. I'm going to show you this from inside of the spawn. Now, as you can see here, notice how I'm locked onto Lunar Snow, but there is a wall in my way. When I shoot, the shot will bounce over the wall and still travel towards its target, which further shows how as long as the lock on is there, the shot will always find this mark. Now, shooting like this isn't 100% accurate because in the middle of a real game, you have to take into account various things like how the enemy is moving and then also how you're moving as well. So please don't go thinking that you can just heal and do damage while fully being hidden in an area when not even your team can see you. I would suggest that whenever you do use this healing wise, use this to heal from outside of the area as you're making your way closer to your teammates and then buying them more time, because an extra heal, no matter how you get it, can mean the difference between winning or losing a fight. And damage wise, if you know an enemy is in a certain spot that's close enough for you to shoot and stay out of sight, keep letting off shots, because even though you might not kill them, forcing them to retreat is good enough, and if they're weak, you might actually get the kill. Now, just to further reiterate the AoE healing aspect of the ability, whenever she's healing the ally, that creates an AoE field on each shot that also heals whoever is next to them, meaning that Dagger can multitask a lot easier than other healers due to her heals not only covering a much wider spread, but being able to heal multiple people at once and being able to keep those shots going consistently, because her base ammo count is 12 shots, meaning that if you're new to playing strategist, Cloak Dagger might be one of the best picks next to Jeff for an easy to learn and pick up and play character. Now we're going to swap over to Cloak's left click ability, and that's called Dark Force Cloak. Now, Dark Force Cloak will inflict continuous damage to an enemy, and the aiming on this works the same as Dagger's left click ability, is to whereas you don't need to be dead on with your target, just simply aiming close enough will force it to latch on and then do the rest of the work for you. It also has infinite ammo as well, so you don't really have to worry too much about reloading or running out of shots. Moving over to the right click ability, for Dagger we have Dagger Storm. Now Dagger launches a volley of daggers, creating a healing over time field at the target area that heals for 55 points per second. Now this is big enough to heal multiple people at once and even help vanguards further hold down a location. The ability duration is 6 seconds and the cooldown on it is somewhere between 13 to 15 seconds, which is fair seeing as how this move also grants a healing boost, meaning that whenever you pop this and then you apply a couple of shots to a few allies inside of it, that's close to enough, if not enough itself, to get them back up to full health in seconds. Swapping over to Cloak's right click ability, we have Dark Teleportation. Now Dark Teleportation will enshroud nearby allies in the Dark Force dimension and grant them phase, making them untargetable and invisible to enemies and granting them a movement boost. Now not only is this one of the best moves for a strategist, but it's possibly one of the best moves in game in my opinion. It only lasts for about 2 seconds, but during that time, everyone is untargetable and invisible. You cannot take damage. However, this is something that the game doesn't tell you. Whenever you use this ability and your team is inside, if they are still inputting attack commands while inside, it breaks the cloak for them and they can be seen and targeted again. So whenever you're playing with a team and there's comms, if you're trying to dodge something like an Iron Man ultimate for example, make sure to call out the cloak beforehand so that your team could take full advantage of the ability, because if they get caught attacking while in it, it will break and they will get hit by the ultimate. Now, for yourself, it's also a clutch last second save ability, because whenever you have somebody chasing you down, not only can you shift, but you can also fly during that time and reposition, so they can't see where you went until you want to cloak. So it's easy to get somebody to slip if they cannot resume the chase. Moving on to the next ability section, we have their E ability, and for Dagger we have Veil of Light Force. Now, Dagger deploys a Veil of Light Force to heal allies upon touch and grant them a healing boost. It heals for 45 points of health, and the healing boost granted from it is a 15% increase. Now, the duration is 4 seconds and the cooldown sits at 12 seconds. It's pretty much the same as Dagger Storm, but instead of a dome, it's a wall that travels forward in a straight line, and your main goal is to spam this move as much as possible, because landing it makes healing a whole lot easier, not just for you, but for the other strategists on the team as well. And swapping over to Cloak's E ability, we have Terror Cape. Now, Terror Cape deploys a Veil of Dark Force to damage enemies upon touch, applying blind to narrow their sight, and vulnerability to amplify damage received. Now this blind fully hides everything within a set distance. This is strong simply because of how much it can throw people off, especially in a team fight where everything is just hectic, and then they also take increased damage due to the vulnerable status, which is on top of the fact that this ability already hits for 55 points of damage off the base hit, and then that vulnerability status sits at 20% for 3 seconds. On somebody like Luna Snow, this Veil is enough to knock out 20 to 25% off their health, and then attacking instantly with Dark Force Cloak is big burst damage in a short amount of time, coming from just Cloak and Dagger alone. Now if a teammate is attacking with you, that's an easy kill to chase down. Now if you can tag multiple people with this and your team can follow up with you, that's big burst damage being applied by everybody in a very short time frame. Now we jump over to their left shift ability, which is going to be the shortest part of this entire video because it has the exact same description for both characters besides the name itself. For Dagger, this is called Shadow's Embrace, and for Cloak, it's called Light's Embrace. Now, this is the button that you use to shift back and forth between Cloak and Dagger, and there's no cooldown on the switch, so you can switch back and forth as much as you want, which is great because if there was a cooldown on it, I'm pretty sure everybody would have been asking for that cooldown to be shortened or removed at this point, and I honestly hope they never put a cooldown on it. Now we move over to the ultimate ability, their Q ability, which is called Eternal Bond, and yes, this also has the same description as well. Now, Eternal Bond lets the two perform 3 rapid dashes, healing allies and damaging enemies along the path. Now this ability hits for 30 points of damage per second, and it heals for 220 points of health per second. This can be used to force enemies away from an area or even lock them inside of an area, because for example, you have 3 dashes and they take damage if they're either inside the path or in the path's way, like right on the edge of it. You can make a triangle with this ultimate and box them in, because if you close the path, they will take damage regardless of whatever side they're on, because it's a box. It's not a box, it's a triangle, but it's a box. You get what I'm trying to say. They will take damage regardless. Now, it's great for also keeping your team alive while contesting an area, because for a short time, you're going to have major heals coming from that specific area, so you can join your team in doing damage with Cloak and then switching back to Dagger to resume the healing once the ultimate's duration has run out. Now we're going to take a look at the team up ability, which is called From Shadow to light. Now, Cloak and Dagger can inject light and dark energy into Moon Knight to create a light and dark realm where Moon Knight can become invisible, and because they're the team up anchor, Cloak and Dagger get a 15% healing bonus whenever he's on the team. Also, Moon Knight can still attack while invisible, and while you know he's in that circle, you don't know exactly where he's standing. I feel like people like Iron Man and Squirrel Girl are great counters simply just because they have splash damage on their attacks and they can still tag him from an inch or two away from whatever spot that he's currently standing in. In terms of combos, I don't really have any for Cloak and Dagger because I don't feel like their character really has too many real setups like other characters in the game, like Wolverine and Cap and Bucky and etc. Right? Besides the simple 1-2 piece combo that I mentioned earlier with Cloak. Now, honestly, I would say for Dagger, just go ahead and spam Light Force Dagger and her other abilities as much as possible just so you can pump out quick heals and take the pressure off the other strategists. Don't hold on to any of them, like Luna and Loki, for example. Even though they do heal for a higher amount quicker than Dagger could, having somebody with auto aim and a healing boost that can affect everybody on the team works wonders. And Cloak wise, I would say make sure to save Dark Teleportation for whatever you or the team needs a quick escape. Please do not use that move willy-nilly because there's gonna come a time where you need it and you don't have it. And when it comes down to engaging in a fight, always try to throw out Terror Cape on the target first so you can get that increased damage output, and then you can follow up the next 3 seconds with as much burst damage as possible. But in general, I would say you're really gonna have to work on finding a sweet spot with healing and doing damage, because even though they can do both, it's really gonna depend on how the match is going, because every match is different. You might be in a situation where the healing might be absolutely necessary and you're going to be spending the majority of that time on Dagger, or you could be in a situation where you might have more leeway to join your team in the doing damage portion of things and you can spend a good number of that time on the Cloak. But once you find your sweet spot in general and you stick with it and you put more time into the character, I think a lot of you are going to come out just fine. So with that being said, that's gonna go ahead and it's gonna bring us to the end of this video. Hopefully you all have enjoyed it. If you are playing the game and you haven't tried Cloak or Dagger yet, or if you have, let me know how you feel about the character down in the comments below. Do you like them? Do you not like them? What skins would you like to see come to the game for the character? And again, if you've enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and smack the notifications bell so you will never miss out on any of my future Marvel Rivals related videos. And I will catch y'all in the moonlight. Peace.